Hello Aquarius friends, I'm Annie Botticelli and welcome to my Aquarius May 2023 Astrology Horoscope forecast. The theme of this month is Jupiter is changing signs, but this month is about so much more than I can encapsulate in one title. So we're going to get into all of the details. This is for you if Aquarius is your sun sign, your rising sign, your moon sign, or any other placement of Aquarius you're watching for. And if you are a late degree, especially a very late degree friend, so birthdays like February 15th through the rest of the sign, or if you have a placement in Aquarius around 23 degrees or so through the rest of the sign, then I suggest you additionally listen to my Pisces report. So Aquarius and Pisces report for the very late degree friends because you will benefit from both readings. Okay, so here's a little overview of some of the things that we're going to discuss, some of the highlights. We've got, bam, crazy radical changes, trajectory shifts, major goodbyes, major hellos, drama, fruition, manifestation, clearing of karma from the full moon lunar eclipse at 14 degrees of Scorpio. Okay, that's on May 5th. We'll talk about that in more detail. We've got one of the sweetest aspects of the month, a beautiful Venus trine with Saturn. We've got Mercury retrograde for the first half of the month and then going direct mid-month. But the whole month is very much covered in retrograde, and we'll talk about the differences of the things you want to try to align with earlier in the month and the things you want to shift your attention towards the end of the month. We'll also talk about some other retrograde timelines that are upcoming. We've got an outer planet connection in the days around the 17th of May, Jupiter squaring Pluto. Whenever outer planets get together, it always brings a longer period of time of influence and some important things to know, so we'll talk about that. And then we've got a sweet new moon on the 19th at 25 degrees of Taurus, and we'll talk about the opportunities that are opening from there. So I'm going to go into the details of these, plus where the personal planets are moving, what areas are being highlighted for Aquarius, and how to make the most of the energetic potentials. If you would like to have more details written down, including specifics of the aspects, that's the planetary connections, delivered into your inbox 1 month early, then go to anniehelpsyou.com. Sign up for my free email newsletter, and you will get that report as well as other information to help you with the month. And that AnnieHelpsYou.com is also where you go to see all of the free things I make for you each month, including written horoscopes and other blogs. Okay, so if you are listening to the podcast version of this, then you are not going to see what we're talking about here. I do have the chart up this month. I don't always put it up. So I'm going to point out some things on here. If you want to see the visual, go to Annie Botticelli on YouTube and watch the Aquarius May 2023 video version of this podcast you're listening to get the visuals. If you're watching the visuals and you're like, Annie, I do not like looking at the chart, that bothers me, and you want to just listen to the podcast, you can go to any major and minor podcast venue, and you can put in Astro Kisses with Annie Botticelli, and you can listen to the audio only, okay? So we're making everybody happy. I have this, should know better than to try to make everybody happy, but I still try. So when I put the charts up, some people say, I don't like that, it's messy. When I don't put the charts up, people say, I want the charts up. So now I'm giving people options, okay? All right, so the first thing I want to talk about, just to keep things simple here at the beginning before we add in layers of complexity into the astrological weather for May, is let's look into the personal planet movements, okay? Personal planets are the ones closest to us. They move the quickest. Their time of influence is for a shorter period of time. We'll talk about Venus first. Venus still has a little longer in fellow air sign. Venus rules love and beauty and money and relationships and self-esteem and fashion and just a lot of goodies there from Venus. And she is making a beautiful aspect to Aquarius placement. So I say, that means that's a kiss for you, okay? Whenever we have a nice mathematical aspect, meaning a nice connection in the stars, everything in astrology is based in math. So this connection of 120 degrees is a trine, and when you have a trine, there's just extra sweet kisses, okay? So you can have, good news, blessings, information, some harmony, in any of those areas that I listed. And the area of your life that's being highlighted has to do with your creative expression. So earning money for your creative expression, opportunities to do that. Love, romance, sizzle back to your current relationship or new people coming in or new person coming in. This is the dating scene for those of you who are single and looking, so there could be some activity there. And this is the love and romance scene for those of you who are already with your person. So that's sizzling. And this is also the house of children. So anything having to do with endeavors to have children or for kids you already have are going to be highlighted and blessed this month. One thing to note about the fact that Venus is in Gemini is that this is a vacillation energy. This is like going back and forth. I'm over here, I'm over there. So there could be a lot of indecision, there could be a lot of confusion, there could be scatteredness, and there could be a lot of options. So if you're looking for a lot of excess in these arenas, you're probably going to find it, but it definitely will open up different possibilities, different ways of seeing things, and a lot of activity and a massive amount of busyness. You know, running around to get your art to a gallery, running around to, you know, if, let's say that you're an athlete, you know, anything that puts you out in front of people or your work out in front of people is highlighted at this time. And there's a lot of busyness, a lot of communication around different topics, a lot of interacting, a lot of social energy. So that's all burning bright for you. Okay, so the next thing is after Venus gets out of Gemini, it's going to move into Cancer, and that's going to bring focus of, you know, emotion and matters of the heart coming up, which you already have from Mars. Okay, Mars is in Cancer, bringing a very strong focus on home, housing, real estate, matters having to do with working from home businesses, etc. And this is also specifically for Aquarius, highlighting your house of health. All right, so you might be very gung-ho on a health regimen. You might be experimenting with different things. This is a really great month for experimenting, both because it is Gemini energies bring that vibe, and the Mercury retrograde is a time when, you know, it's good to try things on. So even though Mercury is going to go direct mid-month, we do have the month covered in retrograde. We'll talk about that more later. But for now, the energy of trying things on and experimenting as it relates to your health, as it relates to your daily routine, you know, anything having to do what you do every day, your schedule, even, you know, this is kind of a time where there might be some strong emotion. And this does make a little bit of an awkward angle for Aquarius here. So, you know, there could be some pressures or stresses, but you could get very much done. You know, this is a time where if you have to put your mind to things or put your nose to the grindstone to deal with some things that come up for you, your health, your pets, you know, your office space dynamics, that may happen. There might be some arguments or conflicts from the awkward angle with Mars. But again, these are not things to fear. These are things that will tend to blow over pretty quickly, and they don't have to be bad, and they can be super productive. So you could have a health manifestation, and you go get it checked out, and you have a solution kind of thing. So this is, you know, very much focused on that. Okay, now let's talk about where there's a massive amount of energy and what that means for Aquarius at this time. We have been in recent months having a strong energetic of Aries energy, which was super beneficial and in a great flow, speaking the same language as your Aquarius placements. And now we're grounding out into Taurus energy. So if you're looking at the visual, you can see we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 placements in Taurus, and Jupiter is about to go there. All right, so Jupiter changing signs is a big deal. This happens about once a year. Okay, a Jupiter transit. The Jupiter orbit is every 12 years, so it's in each sign about a year. So the things I'm going to talk about for how Taurus energy affects you is super strong this month because of this predominance of Taurus energies. But the themes that we talk about are going to extend out past this time and be present for the next year because of Jupiter's placement. Okay, so the first thing to know about Jupiter moving from Aries into Taurus is a lot of seed planting that went on for the last year, a lot of maybe experimenting, trying some things on, is again going to ground out into, okay, now you start to cherry pick the things that you've been playing with to see what things you're going to really start investing in and start putting more power behind. It's like a pruning process, okay? So Jupiter in Taurus is like a pruning process where you start to really narrow down what you're going to invest in and focus on. So you'll see that trend, and it gets very grounded, very practical. Now, this energy does make an awkward angle for Aquarius, which means the pressure is going to be on a little bit. It doesn't have to be a bad thing. When you're growing something, Taurus rules farming. When you're building something, Taurus rules, building. All of these things take time. They take persistence. They take consistency. And so you're embarking for this month on some tedious types of things that can help grow the life that you want. So, it's exciting, but it will take a little work, and you will have to summon different parts of yourself. Basically, the big conflict here for Aquarius placements is that we're moving into a time for you to start to take things from your mind. Aquarius is a very mental energy. It's very much into discussing and theorizing and talking about and, thinking. And now is a time for some actual tangible manifestation. So that's a good thing, right? But that awkwardness of trying to pull it from the ethers and place it into physical form where you can see it, it has some awkwardness to it. So it's nothing to fear. This angle is nothing to fear. It's just representing kind of like the birth where the baby is, in there, and now it's got to come out. So the birthing process, and the child rearing process, whether it's your creative baby or an actual baby or whatever it is you're doing, we're moving things into physical manifestation at this time. And that can be in any area of your life. There's a strong focus on finances because Taurus rules that. Your individual autonomy, your sustainability, your solidness in yourself, your self-esteem, your belief that you can do it, whatever it is, and your investment in the things that you may need to actually do it. So if you're like, okay, I want to be a successful artist. Okay, well, maybe you already have talent, right? What do you need to do to bring that in? Maybe you need to take an artist, business class. Maybe these are just examples. There are some things that you need to invest in order to make your dream manifest and bring it to the tangible realm. And this is a time where you're pruning down to get your resources into the things that will really help you to do what you're supposed to be doing here. Now, the other area that's accentuated is the fourth house, okay? Because for Aquarius energies, the fourth house is what is ruled by Taurus. So this is home and family and real estate, which, remember, we talked about the fact that Mars is already accentuating that for you. And as Venus gets out of Gemini, it will go into Cancer. So Aquarius is looking at many layers, many layers of, in the short term, really strong focus on home and family, but also in the long term, because a lot of these placements will move on. These Taurus placements will move on in the short term. But in the long term, Jupiter's going to be in there. And what people tend to see from Jupiter in the fourth house is expansion of your home and family. Okay, again, this what we're talking about here is short term and long term. Okay, expansion of your family, expansion of your home. For some people, this will look like you get that big house you've always wanted. Okay, for some people, that will look like you get any house that you've always wanted. Anything that represents a relative expansion for you. Let's say you're in an apartment and you want to be in a house. Okay, that's expansion. Jupiter can bring that. Let's say you're renting and you want to own your home. Jupiter can bring that. Let's say you want to have a partner, a family, it's additive. You want to add to your family structure. Jupiter can bring that. So this is the kind of thing that's going on for Aquarius. Now, this can also look the opposite way. Remember I said it's a relative expansion. Let's say you're an empty nester with this giant house and you're like, what the heck? My kids are scattered about the place. I don't really need this house. I want to downsize, and have less I have to take care of, more extra money. So you downsize into a small country house. And now you have those resources and more time and more money. And that represents expansion for you. All right. So this energy of expansion in the home and family is going to be relative, and it's going to be in comparison to what you're already doing. So basically, Jupiter wants to bring more freedom into your home and family space. And this can be from clearing out negative patterns. This can be from moves. Maybe you get a roommate, and that gives you more freedom because you don't have to pay the whole mortgage or rent yourself. Maybe you start a real estate business, or you do Airbnb or whatever your rental things. This is very strongly highlighted for Aquarius. And maybe you finally make your home business work, or you're able to stay home and do your work that you've been doing. These are just some examples of the types of things that you'll see with Jupiter's sign change over the next year that are extra highlighted for this month of May. Okay, how are we doing on our list here? So we already talked about the more superficial transits that I mentioned, which I did not put on this list. And then we talked about, actually nothing on this list yet. Okay, so let's go in order then. While we're on the topic of Taurus, let's just mention this new moon, May 19th, new moon at 25 degrees of Taurus, along with all of these other 7 placements and then Jupiter making 8. We also have that new moon in Taurus, which is new beginnings, and that is highlighting the home and family and all of that for you too. Okay, so you see lots of goodies there for you. By the way, that house also can have to do with your inner psychology and your childhood psychology that may be affecting your life now. So deep dives into something familial, ancestry as it relates to, mysteries or interesting facts or health things, all of that may also be the way that this manifests. Okay, so let's go in order from the beginning now. May 5th, full moon, lunar eclipse at 14 degrees of Scorpio. Bam! April and May, we're in the heat of eclipse season. Eclipses as astronomical events are one moment in time. Eclipses as astrological events have multiple layers of cycles, cycle upon cycle. And this Taurus Scorpio eclipse cycle, it's actually highlighting this 10th house for you. The Taurus Scorpio eclipse cycle started at the end of 2021. It's going till the end of 2023. This is the second to last part of this cycle. A storyline has been developing over this time, and you are getting new information. Information can come at any point in these 2 years that it's covering, but it tends to be strongest 4 to 6 weeks before and after the eclipses. So we had the eclipse in April. We've got the eclipse in May. The April Aries eclipse is still affecting now. So if you haven't watched my April report, definitely listen to that, because I do go into the new eclipse cycle, which is the Aries Libra eclipse cycle, which starts in April and goes for a while. And you can see how that can affect you in that one. All right. But for now, we need to know big changes ahead, sometimes drama for better or worse, big hellos, big goodbyes. What else is on our eclipse checklist? Clearing of karma, meaning you've been doing something a certain way because you have a certain belief system, whether it's conscious or unconscious. The eclipse cycles tend to bring you face to face with your beliefs and help you clear out anything that's not working for you. So you can radically change patterns at this time, and it can be very exciting. The area that has been highlighted for Aquarius through this eclipse cycle is home versus family. Okay, your inner world versus your outer world, your place out in the world versus your place, in your heart. So this is the storyline that's going on, and this can relate to a lot of changes within your home and family structure, changes to your housing, big moves, big purchases and sales of real estate, and this can also have to do with work and career, employment, father figures, mother figures, bosses, people that are very important in your life in those capacities are being highlighted. So the actual lunar eclipse is in your 10th house, all right? Saying goodbye, big endings, work, career, employment. Does it mean you're going to lose your job? Maybe, but that's not the only way that this manifests. Is it possible that you lose your job because you get a promotion and a big chapter change? Yes, absolutely. So some people will retire with this transit. Some people will get forced to retire against their will with this transit. Some people will get promoted. Some people will, have their business, a new business chapter. There are so many ways this can manifest. If you are someone who doesn't have to work, you're not in the workforce, this can have to do with your place out in the world. I live in an area where there are a lot of retirees, and let me tell you, these people are running actual circles around people who are very young, okay? They're like starting businesses, using all their gifts in ways where they're just so relaxed, and they're having so much fun teaching other people how to, speak English. Just so many things that I see that these retirees in my community are doing, and they're having these new chapters in their lives regardless of what the social perceptions that people put on aging, this is like flying in the face of all of it, which is amazing. So if you're someone who's retired or for other reasons don't want to work, passion projects can be flowing and glowing like crazy. And even if you are employed, passion projects can be flowing and glowing like crazy. So this is really just a time of, endings and beginnings in the space of home and family. If you want to, and also the Taurus Scorpio cycle, actually. Okay, so this has to do with your stuff versus other people's stuff, your money versus other people's money, shared resources, inheritances, credit, debt. Look for big changes in those areas, paying off a loan, getting capital, access to money, the ending of some benefits that you had, the beginning of financial autonomy. This storyline is huge. So if you want to learn more about the eclipses, go to Annie Botticelli on YouTube. It's my homepage, and you scroll down for the eclipse playlist and listen to the eclipses in Scorpio, okay, because that's the actual eclipse, and then listen to eclipses in Capricorn or 10th house, okay, Cap or 10th house, because this is happening for you in the 10th house. Very dramatic, very intense, and it is actually in an awkward angle for Aquarius. Now, again, this is nothing to fear, okay? Sometimes people hear this, they're like, oh no, I'm already overburdened, and whatever. Sometimes the things that you're being freed of are bittersweet, like you're sad to let them go, but you've been working on letting them go. This is a time where anything is possible, and things that like dramatically decreased timelines can come. And it can be very exciting. It can be stressful, but it can also mean that there's resistance that you have to letting things go. Whenever there's a 90-degree angle, actually, sorry, this is a Placidus chart, so it looks a little weird here, but so this is a 90-degree angle, and that's an angle of pressure. But sometimes you need that pressure to crack the matrix to get into your new life, and if you didn't have impetus to take care of it, you wouldn't. Okay, and this is purposeful in this way. This is a lot of fated things tend to go on. Destiny paths are made manifest, and overall just things that are out of our control. A lot of things are going to happen that we actually don't have any say in. We only have say in how we're going to have our perspective on it, and what we're going to do with the changes that have come. All right, so that's happening. Now, let's talk about my favorite aspect of the month. And do know, even though I'm hitting some important dates here, if you want a more detailed written version of the notable aspects, go to anniehelpsyou.com, sign up for my free email newsletter, get my written version of my favorite aspects of the month, the diciest, the neutral ones that could go either way, and the general write-up of the month delivered to your inbox 1 month early. Also at anniehelpsyou.com, you can see more free offerings. I have, 2 written horoscopes. I have all kinds of things, and some blog sites that you might want to play with. Okay, so May 12th, we've got Venus in Cancer, trine Saturn in Pisces. Okay, so Venus, we talked about Venus ruling love and beauty and money. Saturn has to do with stability, hard work. So work that you've done in the past for money or relationships or your self-esteem can show up in a big way now. That's the basic translation. Look for the days around the 12th. It's not always just on the day. For a little extra sweetness, So yeah, you can check that out. Then May 14th, let's talk a little bit about the retrograde process. There we go. All right, so the days around May 14th, May 15th, depending on your time zone. Mercury, the planet of communication and transportation, going direct. In general, most of the month is in retrograde mode of just dealing with what comes up. It's not a time to force anything. It's a time to honor the flow. Things that were planned for this time may dissolve out or get called into question. So it's better to try to deal with things right in front of you. Not make big plans. Be the spider that waits for the food to come to you. And instead of going out to try to conjure. If you want to conjure, wait till the end of May and into June. That'll be your time to do new webs and, stretch and all of that stuff and get out and take an active role. This time, for most of May, and this will get more diluted the closer we get to May 30th, because that's when the post-retrograde, transit is clear. But that process to the 15th and 30th is going to be like a leveling out, an awkwardness, a time where you want to clear out clutter and things like that, and where you want to leave yourself unscheduled so that you have access to last minute magic. Doing research, it might be confusing, or, it's not really a time. May is not a time to plan for the future. May is a time to experiment and deal with what is right in front of you. And the more lightly you schedule yourself, the more you can make the most of the last minute magic, which means someone giving you a last minute opportunity to do something that you'll have time to do if you don't overschedule yourself. Okay. So if you have any confusion in May, by the end of May into June, for many people, a lot of that will start to clear up, and you'll start to be able to move into your launches, your big decisions, your agreements, your investing, your big moves. Now, if you're moving in May and it's out of your control, don't worry about it. What we're talking about are things that you conjure, that are in your control. If it's not in your control, don't worry about it. Just follow through with what you have to do, knowing that there may be things happening that are shorter term than you think, or that are going to change very quickly. Okay, so in the direct time, you'll have more clarity, you can do more future planning, and you'll have more energy for pushing and initiating. And you'll want to, take advantage of that window, because as June goes on, we're going to get into Venus retrograde. Venus rules love and money and relationships and finances and self-esteem. Definitely go to AnnieBAstrology.com, Annie, the letter B, astrology.com, because that is where you can sign up for my exclusive content portal. And in that content portal, I have the retrograde direct profile for the whole year, including all the shadow periods, what to do when, that navigate around all of these transits for your planning purposes. So just kind of expect to be confused and not know what's going on for most of May. If you know it's coming, it won't bother you as much, and you'll know that hopefully clarity will be coming as the month progresses. In the days around May 17th, Jupiter will square Pluto. Fortunately, of all of the outer planets that could be in a square with another outer planet, Jupiter tends to be the lightest or most beneficial or benefic one. So Jupiter and Taurus making a square with Pluto and Aquarius, you might be seeking to have ambitions, and you may commit to overcommit. So the big thing to watch at this time, especially, it's all month, but especially towards the 17th, is to make sure that within the context of a power struggle or trying to one-up somebody, you don't overcommit to something that you then have to follow through with. Okay, so just be careful what you commit to. Try to not overdo it, and that can mean for your health as well. Anything where you overstretch, egos may flare, and like I said, power struggles may prevail. So just, if you're feeling that knot in your stomach, it might be better to wait till you're more calm to engage, because what you commit to, you might wish you didn't. Or you might wish you did it in a lighter way. Okay, so the recap. Go to Annie, the letter B, astrology.com for my exclusive content portal. Go to Annie, the letter B, clarity.com to see different offerings. You can go to anniehelpsyou.com to sign up for my free email newsletter. And all of these are in the notes underneath the podcast or video if you can't catch them now, if you're listening. CozyBySweetStarlight.com is my beautiful blog site. You will love it. LumeLife.com, Lume life.com is my school. I have free courses on abundance and wellness. And you can also find my Becoming a Professional Astrologer Mastery Course there. And you can check out on Amazon or at indie or major booksellers my books, Planetology, How to Align with the Natural Rhythms of the Universe, Radical Prayer, Transform Your Life in the World in 28 Days, and my spiritual novel, Tough Pill to Swallow. I haven't been on camera very much anymore, but here I am, and here's me saying, have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month.